So how does it really feel now in terms of getting that vindication?
I think it definitely is what I wanted. It respects the outcome in terms of what the judge was able to see and what the judge was able to identify, and not just make it clear to that we were the only ones seeing it, but that he also saw it in his unbiased judgment that it was the truth.
Yeah.
It was plain to see. So I think that for me was, I think that was the best part of it all.
Yeah. So it's is it that that's it? Is it that because I remember when we spoke to you yesterday, you said maybe you might be thinking of appealing depending on what your attorney said, but you weren't sure, or is it at an end at this point? You're leaving it as is.
Well, I'm not sure. I feel like that's up to them, so I'm not really sure.
Also, they haven't advised you yet.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, because I know certainly from Martin Daly, I know he said how for him it was kind of like a labor of love, that he wanted it to be. He hated to see advantage being taken of people.
Yes.
And that was his motivation for taking the case.
Yes.
So he was. So he has been by your side in terms of dealing with this issue from a legal point of view.
Yes.
But has he suggested that whether he thought it should be appealed or not, or whether it should stay like that?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but I suppose you'll find out very soon. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Has the Trinidad and Tobago Gymnastic Federation have they responded as yet at all to the judgment? Have they said anything at all?
I don't think so. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. As far as I know, I don't think so. My mom and dad, I think their major role too was just in keeping me humble and calm and just help me to understand that outside of this, there's a world outside of that. Outside of the whole controversy and outside of all those things, there's you and you do you. You know what I'm saying? So I think they were important in doing that, and of course, enforcing the idea of God in my life and making sure that I stay close to God and talk to God about all the things that may be bothering me.
Yeah. And how they felt about the judgment? They must have had an opinion. Because you knew what when we spoke to you yesterday, you were aware of what social media was saying, what our voters were saying in terms of the quantum. What were your parents' position on that?
My dad seemed okay with it, and my mom all the same. They were just happy, as I said, that the message was carried in terms of bias in sports and the effects that it can have. So I think that they were very happy about that, and that judge was able to recognize that and really bring that to the forefront.
Have other athletes gotten in contact with you and thanked you for standing up against the system, so to speak, in terms of that?
A few, maybe, yes, but that was in the earlies of it. Yes, they definitely did contact and show their support.
Is that kind of bias something that pervades all of the sporting bodies?
I would say, yeah. I would say that it's something that is, yes, it's a problem in all sports, and I'm not just saying in Trinidad and Tobago, it happens all over the world. So I think that in sports, there's so much politics in sports now, and it's unfortunate because the athletes suffer.
Yeah, because you're thinking that it should be more merit-based than anything else in terms of the competition. Who is the best athlete? Who is the one that you expect to be the best performer? You would think that would just be the deciding factor. So it's so curious. I mean the incident that occurred with you was like a window into seeing that a lot of things can take place in terms of people coming to a decision that you didn't think would happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes. When I saw what was
you think it'd be competencies.
Scenes,
that's what you think it would be.
Exactly. It was unfortunate to see what was happening behind the scenes, but again, it just brought to the forefront what actually happens behind the scenes when the athletes don't know anything. We're always blindsided. We don't know until these things come out. And all we can do is speak amongst ourselves and tell people close to us about these things. But when they're finally able to come out like this, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Most athletes pass through their careers and they just see these things happening and they have to leave it. They have to observe it and be quiet.
Yeah.
They don't have a voice.
What about your coach in the U.S.? Was he made aware of the judgment? Are you in contact with him? Or did you speak to him?
Well, I didn't directly talk to him, but he definitely is aware of the judgment. He showed his support toward me recently, right before the judgment was about to be made, and so he's definitely supportive of the entire thing.